For the purposes of this demonstration, I'd like to consider the following scenario. A nurse visits a community and finds a young pregnant woman. As part of her routine operations, she registers this woman using MoTeCH. When we launch the MoTeCH application, the nurse needs to log in the first time, and she's presented with a menu. Studies are simply groups of forms, and initially the nurse needs to download studies and forms, and after that point she can use them without downloading them anymore. In our case, what we'd like to do is select a form associated with registering a patient, and we do so. When we select the form, a number of fields are presented to us. The fields that have question marks in front of them are required. The rest of the fields are optional. These fields, the list of fields, will change as we enter in new information, and I make note of the current list. So let's enter in the staff ID. In this case, the nurse ID is 477. Notice that now the label is followed with the number 477. The nurse is associated with a facility. This is the place that she works out of. The date that the patient is registered is entered in, and let's have the woman registered on the 21st of November. The registration mode indicates how we're going to create the ID for this patient. There are two mechanisms. One is especially useful in bulk registration when the nurse has a list of pre-printed IDs and she'll use one of them for a patient. Alternatively, what can happen is the nurse can ask the MoTeCH server to auto-generate an ID and send that ID via an SMS message back to the nurse. All IDs have a check digit on them in order to improve the quality of the data. In this particular demo, we assume that we're in pre-printed ID mode, and notice that now there is a field for entering in the MoTeCH ID where there was not a field in the original list. Now we will enter in this ID 620. Okay. The type of client indicates whether we designate whether this is a pregnant woman or a child under 5. Both categories are of interest to MoTeCH, and we maintain electronic individual level electronic medical records for both of these categories. So we're dealing with a pregnant woman, and we designate that. We enter in the first name of the woman. Okay, middle name is not needed. The last name, we will put in an Anglo name in there. Preferred name is not needed. The date of birth. This woman was born in 1995 and 1st of November. Is this an estimated date of birth or not? Many birth dates are. Ghana Health, all of Ghana has an insurance system, and pregnant women and young children are automatically insured as part of routine Ghana Health Service operations for basic service delivery. There is community level information. We have a location hierarchy where we designate what district this woman belongs to, and then the sub-district in the community. As another example of the way the content of the menus changes, notice that the community currently does not have any selections, but when I select a value for the sub-district, then Cairo, then I go to the community and there is a filled out list of options. The address is the specific location in the community. Second compound by the palm, by large palm. There are usually not addresses in these communities. And the contact phone number is who do I call for information about the women. What's her expected delivery date is entered in because the messages that the women will get and the nurse both need to know when this woman is expected to deliver proper care. Is this delivery date confirmed by the community health worker? Now the next question is, does the pregnant woman want to join mobile midwife? Notice all the previous information was collected regardless of whether she wanted to join mobile midwife. All the previous information is useful for the nurse to know what the schedule of appointments should be for that nurse. Now, if the woman wants to join mobile midwife, those messages, similar sets of messages, will be sent to the pregnant woman as far as the appointment schedules are concerned. She can also sign up for health tips that describe safe pregnancy practices as well as behaviors. So let's have this woman join the mobile midwife. We ask for consent. We indicate whether she owns the phone or whether it's a household phone. Let's say she owns the phone. We'll note that the type of voice interaction changes based on whether she owns the phone or not. And MoTeCH has a capability that a woman can call back into the system and get the message that she should have been delivered if some other household member answers the phone. We enter in the woman's phone number and indicate the message format. We can send text or we can send voice. Almost all women in the northeast region of Ghana prefer voice messages. We indicate the language. MoTeCH has support for multiple languages, the day of the week that the woman wants to get the message, and the time of day that she'd like the messages, and let's have her as noon. Okay, and how she learned of mobile midwife. Now we're ready to save the system, save the data that we just entered. Notice there's a record here. When I go back, notice that the menu of forms changes so that register patient is moved over, and there's a little dot that indicates that there's data associated with it. Now, when I want to upload this data, the data will be verified on the server and inserted into the OpenMRS system, and the data will be removed from the phone. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I look forward to constructing some new ones.